Senator John McCain says he's a conservative Republican who respects individual liberty, limited government, state sovereignty, and the free market. Well, he voted to authorize the federal government to spy on us without warrants. He voted to force the states to adopt a national identification card. He voted for the Patriot Act. He suspended his own campaign for president, remember that? To vote in favor of TARP and other government bailouts of failing industries. What kind of conservatism is that? Joining me now is another constitutional candidate for Congress. Minuteman founder Chris Simcox is challenging Senator McCain in Arizona. Chris calls himself a counterculture conservative, and he joins me now. Chris, welcome to Freedom Watch. I like that name, counterculture conservative.
Well, I came along at the end of the baby boomer generation. I grew up in the 70s and 80s and 60s, so...
Good phrase. John McCain was the standard bearer of the Republican Party. He was theoretically the incarnation of everything Republican. But there's not that much Republican about him, is there?
No, there's not, Judge, and I'm running as an independent Republican to lead by example. When we put the Constitution first, and we the people know through a natural law, and that Madison warned us that if we give the government too much autocratic control, they're going to go crazy with it. That's human nature, and they've done that, and John McCain's been part of the problem, and I'm going to challenge him on the base of constitutionality with the TARP bailouts and other things. Look at Obama now with his czars. I mean, we go back to the Roosevelt administration in 1933 when the Supreme Court found that unconstitutional. Why is there no one in the Senate bringing that issue up?
Do you think that something has infested the Republican Party? I mean, when George Bush was in the White House, the Republicans in the Congress went along with whatever he wanted, whether it was paying for a war and a deficit, whether it was an illegal war because they never declared war, whether it was federalizing education, whether it was taking over prescription drugs for seniors, things that are decidedly un-Republican. I mean, well, your hero, Barry Goldwater, said he would stop funding Social Security, or at least make it voluntary, because making it compulsory was against the Constitution.
Absolutely.
What has become of national Republican leaders since the Reagan years? Where did they go?
I'm afraid it's the same thing that's happened to everyone in our country. We become decadent, we've become complacent, we've become apathetic. And so many people check out. They just do not hold government accountable. We have that duty. That's our civic duty. That is our job as citizens, is to watch carefully and to hold them accountable.
Is there a disconnect between the leadership of the Republican Party and the rank and file?
Clearly there is, and that is the key to what's happening in Arizona. Back in January, when we had our state elections for the state party, Senator McCain's machine was pretty much handed their hat. They were told that thanks but no thanks, we're going conservative. We're going to act like conservatives. We want the Constitution supported. And so at the state level, we have a sweeping constitutional grassroots changeover in power.
Might there actually be a chance that the former Republican nominee for president actually would be denied renomination by his own party in his home state?
It could very well turn out that way. In fact, that's the battle that's going on now, and Senator McCain knows that he's on the ropes. He's campaigning 11 months out of a primary like he's campaigning for the U.S. presidency.
I got to tell you that when I interviewed him on the radio not too long ago, and I said to him, if you remember when you suspended your campaign and you went back to Washington ostensibly to address the economic crisis, if you could have done that differently, would you have? And of course, I was hoping and praying and expecting he would say yes. And he said no. When your president asks you for help in an emergency, you give it to him. Well, suppose the president asks for the wrong help, or help that's going to make things worse.
Right. It doesn't matter what the president asks for. If it's not within the duties and the authority of the Constitution, we need someone in the U.S. Senate to stand up against it and say, this is wrong, this is an abuse of power, and we need to get back to the Constitution.
Chris Simcox, thanks very much for joining us on Freedom Watch.
Judge.